This is Marcus Tillmon recording a video on file input. Here's our problem. We have a professor who has a .txt file that has the name of the student and their scores. The professor wants to average the student's scores. The first line has the name of the student, the second line has the number of scores typed to that student, and every line after that has a score typed to the student. Like so, we have the name Chantal. She has 4 grades, and they follow here: 86, 98, 90, and 100. Here's part of our solution. We can read this file using 2 classes from the Java.io package. First, we have File Reader, which allows you to open an existing file for reading and establishing a connection with. It can only read in 1 character from the file at a time, though, which is one of its limitations. Then we have Buffered Reader, which allows you to read an entire line from a file. However, it cannot directly access a file. So, in order to properly solve our problem, we must use these two in conjunction with one another. But before that, we have to make sure we use the following import statement: import java.io. First, we have to create a file reader object. So to do that, you say file reader, freader, or name whatever you like, equals new file reader, and then you have the name of your text file, grades.txt. The file name grades is a .txt file on the disk. Also needs to be in the same file folder as the program in order to work properly. It can also be a string variable though. So if you have string file name here, which is grades.txt, we have file reader freader equals new freader file name. And this works in the same way as if you're using a string literal, which is right here. Now we have to create a buffered reader object. File reader freader equals new file reader grades.txt. This is it's created up here. Now we have to use freader and slide it into the buffered reader, which is buffered reader input file, or whatever you want to name it, equals new buffered reader freader. Now input file has access to the file name grades.txt and is now able to read its information. Okay, first off we have to read the student's name. So we have student name named here as a string, and then to do that we use buffer reader's read line. So input file dot read line. This stores the first line of the .txt file. It also takes the student name and adds it to the memory cell in the RAM. And like we have here, we have a random side of RAM located with student name, and it's storing the name Chantal currently. Okay, now we have to read in the size. Int size equals integer.parseInt input file.readLine. I'll explain this shortly. Because readLine has already been used once, we read the next line in the file, which is number tied to how many scores are in the account. The next line holds 4, which we read in as its size. Because being a variable, it gets its own memory slot in RAM. And then we use .readLine. Because it returns a string, we have to use the integer wrapper object in order to get a proper int, which is why we have integer.parseInt here, and then have input file.readLine inside. This is just for residing in the size memory slot. Alright, now we have to read in the grades. So we have our standard for loop. And we're preparing to read in each line as far as I equals 0, and as long as I is less than size, we'll keep reading in the file for any scores. So here we have int num equals integer.parseInt input file.readLine, just like we had earlier. And then after that, we add all the scores to average, and we'll end up reading 86, 96, 90, and 100. And then we'll add up the sum, and we'll average it later in the slide. And then we also print out the number at the same time, just so you can see them. And then, in order to print out the average, we have systemout.println the average of student name is average divided by size. This prints out the average of Chantal, which should be 93. And now we're going to look at the actual code for the assignment, which is here. See, and we have all this here. Same as in the slide. We'll compile and then run. And then we have 86, 98, 90, and 100, and then the average of Chantal being 93. However, we can also change this a bit to see how it would change otherwise. Here's the same text file we have earlier. Let's see what happens if I add 5 grades. We'll just add in 95. Save. And then we'll run this program once again. Because size is still set to 4, we still only read the same 4 we read in before, which we still have with 93, even though there's 5 grades. But this also will change if we change any of the numbers. So let's say I just take out 100 and then keep 95 that we got from earlier. Let's see, we'll run again. Now we have 92 because now the last number is not 100 but 95. And that completes our discussion on file input. This is Marcus Tillman, hoping you enjoyed the video. Have a nice day.